The small crate motors retains its reputation for dependability despite a few performance problems. Back in the day when Hudson Hornets and Packards were common on the roads, conventional wisdom had it that size mattered when it came to engines. That all changed in 1955 when General Motors introduced the first small block engine to models like the Corvette, the first time the sports car ever ran on a V8. The innovation revolutionized auto manufacturing in Detroit, yielding several variations of small crates engines over the years. One of them, the LS, short for luxury sport, has become one of the most popular of the small GM powerhouses, especially Chevrolet models. However, more recently, the LT is fast, becoming the engine of choice for muscle car enthusiasts, largely due to several upgrades on behalf of the automaker. Emission controls influenced GM to build the LT engines. GM has pulled LT engines from production over the past 5 years, largely as a reaction to government emission control regulations. But the first version of the small crate powerhouse made its way into Camaro SS 350 and C3 Corvette models in 1970. At the time, the 350 cubic inch block boasted a 4-barrel carburetor, a solid lifter camshaft, and an impressive 11-to-1 compression ratio that contributed to the engine delivering 370 horsepower to the rear wheels. After being yanked from the market a few years later, it wasn't until 1992 when GM rolled out the second-generation LT, which made its way not only into Camaros and Corvettes, but Pontiac Firebirds, Cadillac Fleetwoods, Buick Roadmasters, and Chevy Caprice Impala SS models. While rated as an engine that could generate up to 305 horsepower, this LT also sported an OptiSpark ignition system with its distributor driven by the camshaft and place in front of the motor. A multi-point electronic fuel injection system also helped address emission control standards. But arguably the LT's biggest revolution took place in 2014 when the C7 Corvettes roared out of factories powered by 6.2-liter V8s as part of GM's line of Gen V small block engines. 2 years later, the automaker added the engine to its rollout of Camaros with a particularly robust aluminum engine block. Testing demonstrated the powerplant could withstand the forces inherent in delivering up to 900 horsepower. C7 Corvette gearheads, however, had to settle for the LT kicking out 455 horsepower and 460 pounds per foot of torque instead. GM created this 8-cylinder beast to address fuel emission regulations without sacrificing performance, achieved with a gasoline direct injection system pumped from the camshaft rear to push fuel into each cylinder at 2,100 psi, creating a massive 11:5-to-1 compression ratio to generate all that combustible power. Higher performance notwithstanding, the C7 Corvette achieved 29 mpg, according to stats from the Environment Protection Agency. Subsequent variations of the LT have additional features, like a 2.65-liter 4-lobe supercharger capable of kicking out 755 horsepower in the LT5 incarnation of the small crate V8. New engines also have different cylinder head castings and piston crown designs to accommodate changes in fuel injection systems. More recent engines also include a dynamic fuel management system that decides how much power and how many cylinders are needed to quickly adapt to changes in acceleration. LTs also have a few problems. Gearheads tend to favor small crate engines like the LT simply because they're smaller and lighter, making them easier to swap out. But LSXMag pointed out that LS engines are far less complicated, cheaper, and have greater support networks when it comes to maintenance. One inconvenience pointed out by Holly is that GM changed the external lug mounts on more recent LT engines and oil pans, prompting the need for adapters when installing the motor in a different vehicle. Because the OptiSpark ignition setup is beneath the engine, it's prone to damage from water, dirt, gravel projectiles, and other road hazards. The LT is also more sensitive to heat than other small crates, leading to the greater likelihood of overheating, coolant sensors breaking down, and head gaskets giving out. One expensive flaw with the engine is that lifters needed to make the fuel management system allocate varying amounts of fuel to each cylinder also break down, an issue that particularly showed up in the 2022 Chevrolet Silverado 15.0 pickup. Small crates are a work in progress. Despite those issues, the prevailing wisdom according to engine builder is that LT power plants will eventually succeed their LS equivalents, largely due to their ability to generate top performance while garnering more fuel efficiency, thanks to more sophisticated fuel injection systems and engine construction that provides more compression than ever. GM also created the aluminum blocks to be stronger than ever. While their smaller size and weight is a boon to engine swappers, but the website added that LT performance and reliability is likely to increase, simply because the engine is still a work in progress every time a newer variation rolls out of GM factories.